Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves some tracks from an act named Hal Savar. And if you switch over to here, we've got them on Music Beat. It's worth noting that a lot of this music is available on digital streaming platforms and stuff like that. I think that the one we've got on the screen, Nevada to Mississippi, is, as I understand it, an early preview of a country pop collaboration with Emily Stinnett, which is going to be out on the 22nd of December, so it'll be out later this month. We're going to listen to Bar, Karma, and Vegas as well, a few tracks, other tracks that Hal Savar has released. We're going to listen through from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Starting with Nevada to Mississippi, let's go. I like the wistfulness of the leads on top of the strummed acoustics. Phenomenal vocal technique, by the way.
That you're never gonna find another woman who can love as good as she runs. From Nevada to Mississippi, oh, your heart of gold stays with me. No distance and no time could stand between this love of mine. And if you just so happen to go, just leave a light.
Great development with the snares. It's really cheery so far. I mean, I know there's some sort of like sadder sort of textures in the triads and stuff like that, but I think just development's been really nice. And that bass, man, got a bit of kick to it.
And I sit here, just drinking by myself, remembering how I felt when I was with you. And I wonder if you still think of me, or the way we used to be, because I do. Mississippi to Nevada, I was stronger when I had you. Not some dark and broken, forsaken road could stop me from coming home. I can still feel your echo, I guess I'll never really let go. Nothing else matters. From Mississippi to Nevada.
Transition to leads. Nice.
I don't know, just don't know.
It's excellent.
I don't know, just don't know. I don't know when I'll be coming home.
From Nevada to Mississippi, oh, your heart of gold stays with me. No distance and no time could separate this love of mine. And if you just so happen to go, just leave a light on. I hope you know you'll be with me.
From Mississippi
The chemistry between these two is actually quite nice.
I was stronger when I had you. Not some dark and broken, forsaken roads could stop me from coming home. I can still feel your echo.
A little bit of vocal
I guess
fry.
I'll never really let go. Nothing else matters. From Mississippi to Nevada.
Mississippi, you'll always be with me.
Excellent effort. It was nice to have that little kind of recording at the end. We'll just let it play out. It was nice to have that recording of the actual, maybe like a take. Is it filtered? Is that like another type of way of recording the vocals at the end? Like the like a room recording, like with a cell phone or something like that. Just the audio quality changed. I think this track Nevada to Mississippi is a fantastic introduction to what Hal Savar as well as, Emily Stinnett is all about. They're fantastic singers. The story, as I understand it, I'm not sure if it's directly related to each other, whether they left their hearts in the state or whether they left their hearts with another person, and it's the both of them having sort of their sides of the story about the way that their relationship is or their situation is and where they left a piece of these with each other. I mean, either way, there's enough mystery to it to sort of be intrigued by it, which I kind of appreciate. It's not too blunt or on the nose. It's really sweet. There's a general sort of sweetness and kindness to it, as well as a sort of a sense of loss that I think is covered by the more sort of somber overall vibe of the track, with the combination of the guitars, bass, and drums there, with some clapping with the kit, with the snares, kick, and hi-hats, or cymbal work coming in a bit later on. The bass being just really sort of not boisterous. What I mean by boisterous is I was just thinking about the amount of energy there was in that alone, because it really boomed. They had a huge sort of presence to the bass in that low sub bass, but like the way the bass is placed with the root notes was charming. The guitar with the strums on the sides there was nice and tuneful, great use of mid to higher range harmonies there with the chords, and the lead solo was short and sweet. Was a nice foil to what we had with the two. I think with a collaboration like this, if you have too much stuff going on in the arrangement itself, it can become a little bit oversaturated. I'm glad that they phrased things conservatively there. Well, we got Bar Karma, track number 2. And I love the Foley as well, man.
Time may be faded. I can't be everything to everyone in your life. I should be wasted.
And it's just like the use of audio production, like post, like putting things sort of stereo delays on the side and stuff. I do appreciate the kind of the grittiness of Hal Savar's kind of vocal performance as well. It was a nice foil to Emily in the previous track, and I think it stands well on its own here.
On top of everything else, I just don't care tonight, and you will never love somebody
and keys.
as much as you love yourself. And I was fine until you walked in this party. I've forgotten how it felt when you say you were better with me, but now we know it's all for show and there was nothing I could see. So tonight I'm gonna hook up with your friend, and to everyone that plays their part, meant in a broken heart, can I get an amen?
Can I get an amen at the end? Nice touch there. I like the fact we have different motifs or progressions per section in this. The song is just not the one idea kind of completed throughout. Really fantastic hook there as well. Really engaging with the movement and the journey we go through with it. Kind of messing with not only the natural sort of major or minor scale shapes, but also a few sort of chromatics or bluesy intonations there. Dynamic range. Sensational.
I tried resistance, but there was something in your eyes that made us more than friends. Now I'm at my limit, and there's nothing you could say to make me jump in again. And yes, you cheated on my love and on yourself and what it's all about. I'm not what you needed.
Some vocal chops as well.
But that's okay in the end, because you're missing out, and you will never love somebody as much as you love yourself. And I was
Great build.
fine until you walked in this party. I've forgotten how it felt when you say you were better with me, but now we know it's all for
Double
show.
track?
There was nothing I could see. So tonight I'm gonna hook up with your friend. To everyone that plays their part, meant in a broken heart, can I get an amen?
Excellent use of 16ths here.
Okay, please take me away, but then you always come back again, and upon mending a broken heart. To everyone that plays their part mending a broken
And halftime
heart.
now.
To everyone down on their luck that just don't give a fuck. Can I get an amen?
And a retardando finish. Oh, that's sort of ATM. That's great. That's great. That is a phenomenal track. I'm actually really satisfied with what I'm hearing from Hal Savar. We not only have the fundamentals of music theory and composition down, we're also exploring a different range of instruments to what we had to the previous track, Nevada to Mississippi, there, where we had like keys and some sort of almost EDM-ish elements there with the whooshy kind of atmospheric noises there, some vocal chops as well. It's nice to have, when we're by ourselves, a bigger set of toys to play with within the piece. It's not oversaturated because we have Hal the whole entire time. We become very familiar with the tone, but it's not to say that Hal doesn't just sit in his sort of chest voice and sort of sit there the entire time. We go up in the range, there's varying intensities of the vocal performance. With the, like, can I get an amen part, it comes down a little bit. But, like, we're crying out in the builds and in the hook sections. There's a lot of, emotional, performative range there that is very enjoyable and incredibly believable and authentic. And I'm genuinely stoked because this is the kind of level of stuff you need to be putting out in this day and age in order to compete. It's an oversaturated music industry. Like, most genres are just completely packed, and you need to be putting out stuff at this level in order to even get a chance, as far as I'm concerned. So well done. Everything down from the vocal performance to the story that was being told there, which I think the story was talking about, like, kind of a getting back at an ex after they did you wrong, etc., kind of thing, and then sort of commiserating on how, anyone who's ever in a similar situation where life's treating you like that, like not giving a fuck, etc., can I get an amen? I think it's trying to relate to the audience. I think there'll be an audience for this kind of stuff as well. So yeah, really effective piece of music, and it makes me excited for what we're going to have next. We'll go Vegas here, track number 3. And that kick, man.
All night, trying to make it right. Maybe we drank too much, but we aren't in any rush. If we could close our eyes, maybe we could stop time. Say things we never say. Maybe smile the night away.
I mean, like, it's a little bit more sort of like safe than the previous composition we had, but I don't see that as a bad thing.
So hold me
tight, nice little pause.
Feel free to lie to me. Pretend you're only mine. The pain is worth a chance to see what the night could find. And when tomorrow comes, I'll keep you here with me on my mind.
What I like about when people do the double tracking in chorus sections is that when they record multiple vocal takes, it just gives a huge amount of size to that part of the track there. It's a really great way of adding a bit of extra oomph to it without sort of confusing things too much, especially if you're doing the same vocal part or melody in that same sort of pitch. And the dynamic range within these recordings is really great as well.
So take me by the hand. Don't need any other plans. Get lost inside your eyes. Get lost inside our lies. I can't explain your heat. Your body moves to the beat. Let me breathe you in. Then let's do it all again.
There is like sort of like the reverb tail of floor toms, that wah kind of sound at the end of each of these, or at the start of each of these second bars. Every second, every 2 beats or something like that. And it's just these sort of sub layers that add a sense of kind of dimensionality to it.
Hold me tight and leave all our fears behind.
More vocal chops.
Pretend you're only
Great job pushing that, man. It's good.
Tomorrow comes, I'll keep you here with me on my mind.
Who's a lady vocalist? I think there's another lady singer up in the upper harmony. They suit really well with that. It's nice to have the audience foley as well. Adds a sense of like, oh, you're, in Vegas. There's people shouting and kind of having a great time around you. Whilst you have this really sort of deep experience.
And when tomorrow comes, I'll keep you here with me on my mind.
When I look at Vegas, when I listen to Vegas, I think that I preferred Bar Karma to it. This track was well written, I think, and well performed, and I appreciated the vocal takes that we had. It's not a question of technique. It's not a question of a lack of like quality of the post-production. It's not a question of like getting things sort of like incorrectly, quote unquote, subjectively with like the way we wrote the music, the way we performed the instrumental parts. Because we're beyond that at this point. Like we clearly can play our instruments. We clearly understand the recording, mixing, mastering process. We understand how to make compelling hook lines and melodies and everything like that. And we understand how to create music that combines elements of like sort of the country stuff we had earlier with like pop and other sort of like more contemporary elements, even some rockish kind of stuff and blues. It's more, the experience I had with this one was I just think there was less danger to the way it was written than in Bar Karma. And just subjectively, personally, for me, I suppose I can understand that. With Vegas, it's more about the fact that if you have that one night stand with someone, you don't know if you're going to see them the next day. And so there's that kind of sadness there, and it's kind of low key. So, regardless of whether or not I personally prefer the way the previous track sounded, that doesn't mean to say I think this is a lesser track at all. It's just that it had a different purpose. And I think that it's nice to sort of have some more raunchy stuff combined with this more sort of low-key, safer, more sort of like accessible material there, where it's more about just kind of it's a song about being sad about the one night stand in Vegas and having to sort of like leave the next day, the next morning with that person in your mind, but not in your heart, or them not being. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's still. I mean, I got to hand it, to Hal Savar. I came into this, I never know what to expect with musicians. But they're very, very flexible with the way they approach their tunes, and each of these three has been an absolute banger, regardless of what we sort of throw at it, whatever is included. I think we've got ourselves someone who, has got a real sort of chance at a career if they haven't got one already, and I wish them the best of luck. But we're going to do the conclusion. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of these tracks from an act named Hal Savar. We had Nevada to Mississippi featuring Emily Stinnett, which is out again on the 22nd of December, I suppose on all digital streaming platforms and stuff like that. We've also got a Spotify page, by the way, I'll put links in the description. But we've got Bar Karma and Vegas. And these three songs are very strong. We've got stories that I've spoken about throughout these reviews, so I won't talk about them too much in the conclusion, but basically, I think each of the three stories we had, with Nevada to Mississippi being a thing about like meeting another person along the road and having that sort of like separation, but also having that piece of themselves in that part, that heart there, that longing, that sort of connection there. With Bar Karma, being about sort of like, exes and trying to get back at them and stuff with their friends and all that kind of stuff, and coping with the pain that comes from all that situation. It's not just about lashing out, but also coming to terms with what's occurred and trying to sort of like but it's about Vegas as well, with the reality of the one night stand and the consequences of that and how you feel afterwards, regardless of, it's about like the one night stand you have with it. And I think that all three of these stories are compelling. They're well told. There's great personality behind them from, Hal Savar in the three tracks and Emily Stinnett in Nevada to Mississippi there. We told the stories authentically. We had great head and chest voice, confident with our vocal technique. Now, lots of different sort of vocal runs we needed to have a little bit of sort of like flurry and sort of like fanciness to it, I suppose. But we also stuck to the fundamentals of the hook line and stuff like that. We created things that were easy to follow, nod your head to, that segged and sort of amalgamated, really neatly with the backing parts and niched well within the harmonies, melodies, different rhythms and grooves, etc., in a way that was still creative and really fulfilling, despite, again, being so accessible. And I think it's just a really good effort there. We really sold things well, both Emily and Hal have distinct vocal timbres and textures and tones that not only made them stand out within their own collaboration, but I think will help them stand out within their careers. And I could, if I listened to another song, I could probably tell that Hal was involved, I think, if I listened to it. And that's really important. That's why a lot of major labels are looking for musicians with just sort of unique voices nowadays, simply because if people are passively listening, you need to have, oh, that's the association, oh, that's the person, right? But really well done with the vocal performances there. Whether they're alone or together, harmonizing or doing sub layers, it's all very solid. The tracks are typically about 3 to 3.5 minutes there. Great length, nice sort of combination of different verses and choruses with instrumental parts, intros and outros, etc. Some had interludes, some had solo sections, such as Nevada to Mississippi there with a really slick guitar solo that was nice and short. Didn't overstay its welcome, but it was a nice foil or a change from Emily and Hal's parts. The transitions between each of the sections within each of the tracks was very smooth. There were no awkward sort of movements or anything like that. Very sort of easy to listen to, but there were also a lot of powerful moments within them, and I think that they were well orchestrated. If I talk about a few of my favorite instruments from these pieces, I think that the guitars in general were fantastic, especially in Bar Karma and Nevada to Mississippi there, especially Nevada to Mississippi there. Just having the steel strings on the side with the lead solo there, exploring the pentatonics and blues range was great. The open chords on the side were nice and bright without being too sort of overwhelming, and giving the vocals plenty of space there, established a nice sense of movement with the, again with the chord progressions and such like that, and were easily identifiable and easy to listen to. The bass lines were great. I mean, in Nevada, Mississippi, again, the bass line was just so huge. The tone of it was massive there. We also had, I think, maybe other types of basses in other tracks, such as Bar Karma and Vegas there. I think Vegas had a bit of a difference with the way it's toned set. It might have been like an 808 or something like that. But either way, it was dope. It was really well handled. And I think that it's nice to experiment with different bass tones, just to have different sort of sounds with the different tracks and to not limit your palette. The drums were great. They were punchy, they were nice and sort of assertive, and they didn't overstay their welcome. They were absent in parts where they needed to be. There was a sort of a main focus on the quarters and eighths for the most part, although there were some 16th sections, I think, like Bar Karma, I think, had some 16th note hi-hats or whatever, or cymbal parts there. So that was just a great change in pace. And Nevada to Mississippi, I think it had differences in the times. Some parts were half time, some were sort of normal time, etc. There's great adjustment to rhythm and grooves there, with Vegas being a little bit sort of more kind of sort of safe with the lesser variety, but fundamentally sticking with the accents there and keeping things moving like it needed to. I also want to talk briefly about the keys in Bar Karma. I thought they were great when they came in the bridge section. They were nice and bright and filled up a necessary space within the mid to high section. That a lot of the instruments were kind of reaching but not sort of really filling. There was a sparkle to those keys there, which sat nicely with the focal point being the vocals from Hal. But they didn't overwhelm the listener. They were just a nice little bit of complexity to an arrangement which already had quite a lot going on, and it was a great equilibrium that was reached in that regard. Overall, I think that the themes within the individual tracks suited the stories that were being told there. I firmly believe that we've got the flexibility as composers, as songwriters, to be able to handle whatever we want to sort of do with those different stories we've presented here. It's 3 for 3 in regards to the compatibility, but also just the fact that we didn't have a note out of place, and the performances in general were very strong. Although I wasn't necessarily as enamored with I didn't feel as if there was as much sort of compositional excitement in Vegas as Bar Karma and Nevada to Mississippi. That's simply because I think Vegas was meant to sort of be more of an accessible single with less range there, simply to make it sort of a little bit less kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's a well-written song, but it was just simpler, there we go. But that isn't a bad thing. It's just all three of these tracks were still, I think, served their purpose well. They suited the emotions that were trying to be sort of portrayed. And it's professional grade. This is stuff that I think will get you far if you continue to make stuff like this. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering as well in general was superb. Really stoked with the quality of the various sort of instrumental parts and the vocal recordings there. We handled things really pleasantly. The vocals were present from both Emily and Hal throughout Nevada to Mississippi, as well as, Bar Karma and Vegas, as well as the guitar, the bass parts, the drums, piano, synths, everything else, vocal chops, etc. There were some sub layers as well, which is good occasionally. Like I think I mentioned, like this sort of like full social wolf kind of things going on there, which kind of, again, they sat in the ether, made you sort of listen deeper into it to kind of figure out what's going on. And that's when you get sucked into a piece, and that's why you need both main layers and sub layers in a mix to kind of sort of spread things out. There was nice and wide in the stereo field, things surrounded you in the headphones. I think there were even some sort of like delayed sort of stereo delay parts went backwards and forwards. So that was either on part of the stereo delay itself with the rate caused, or like automation of the panning, which is great either way. There were no resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum because things were niched nicely there. And there was dynamic range, which was fantastic. Things were not the same loudness. Within each of these tracks, we had range between quiet and loud parts, which is so important because if things are the same loudness and intensity the entire time, no matter how interesting the actual writing is, how interesting the performances are, or the story or whatever, you're going to zone out. You're just going to lose interest. You need to have dips, peaks, and troughs, right? And we had that here. And finally, it was nice to know that pumping regardless, so the bus compression limiting was handled across each of these three tracks. I mean, this is effectively my review of these tracks from an act named Hal Savar, and hopefully you enjoyed them. If you did, please go check out Hal Savar's latest various, social medias and the Spotify page, and stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.